So, what are the characteristics of a great athlete? Well, I'm going to tell you what a 12-year-old told me, and he was 100% right. It's all coming up in this video.
And now, the most trusted name in all of youth sports, here's Coach Mark.
Hey, it's Coach Mark here, and I'm excited about being here today with you. I'm going to be talking about athleticism. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I'm doing with my clients, and I think you're really going to enjoy this video. So let me start by telling you what just happened. I was on a Zoom meeting tonight with one of my clients, a great family down in Texas, and the kid that I'm working with is 12 years old. Now, I work with a lot of kids at different ages, but when I'm talking to 12-year-olds, I'm talking about the things that I feel are most important for a 12-year-old to understand. We're not talking about super complex, hitting strategies and things like that. We're talking about athleticism. So this was pretty cool. I said, so what do you think makes a great athlete? Okay. Not an easy question for a 12-year-old. Well, I took notes and I wrote down the things that he rattled off, and then I'm going to talk about them. So the first thing he said is they have high baseball IQ. Now, that's not exactly athleticism, but he was thinking the right way. The elite level players have an understanding of the game for sure. So he was right about that one. Then his first word, adjective, was agile. 12-year-old, agile, agility. Yeah, absolutely. The next word, strong. 100% right. The next word, fast. And then he said reflexes. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, good athletes have really quick reflexes. 100% right. The next one, balance. Yes, they do. They are very balanced. Then he said focus. Again, that's a little mental, but great athletes do have the ability to focus. So he was right about that one. Then he said flexible. 100% right about that one. Then he said effort. And, he's thinking about great athletes and they put forth a great effort. So he's right about that. And then the last one, explosive. Now, that's pretty amazing, wouldn't you say, for a 12-year-old to rattle off those things. And then I ask him, if he has an athlete that he really enjoys watching or is his favorite athlete. And he said Bobby Witt Jr. And I told him a story. I saw Bobby Witt Jr. play when he was in high school. We were playing in Jupiter. He was playing. And I wanted to go see if this kid was all that. He was being touted as a first-round draft pick and all that stuff. And sure enough, he was all of that. And I said to my client, I said, and he was all of the things that you just mentioned. And this is where we transitioned into the developmental mindset. I said, now, let's not take anything away from Bobby Witt Jr. He was born a great athlete. I guarantee you he's got some great genetics. His dad played in the big leagues, so let's not discount genetics. But he trained to be a great athlete. I mean, he's a great example of somebody that really maximized their ability. Now, if you already have a lot of talent and you maximize it, you end up being Bobby Witt Jr. But my point to my young client was all the things that you mentioned are exactly what Bobby Witt Jr. is, and he trained to be that. So my transition was, so how are you training to be? And we broke down each one of these, and he's doing some things that are training these, and he's not doing some things that are training these. And I made the comment to him and his parents. Obviously, he's 12. His parents are there with him, and we're having a Zoom meeting. And I said, a lot of people know what athletes are. They can see them. They notice them, but they're not exactly training to be that. And I said to my young client, I said, see, that's what's going to separate you. you are going to train to be that. So we started talking about, what do you do to improve your agility? What do you do to improve your strength? What do you do to improve your reflexes? And the reality of it is, there are very, very specific things that you can do to train all of these. And one of the examples I gave him was explosiveness. Baseball is an explosive sport. Swinging a bat is explosive. It's violent. Throwing a 95 mile an hour fastball requires incredible explosiveness. Now, and it requires a lot of other things too. But the point is, if you don't train that explosiveness, there's a good chance you're not going to be explosive. There are people that are trying to be a great baseball player and they're training their body to be slower. If you're doing slow movements, as you get a little bit older, maybe you're 15, 16, you're doing slow bench presses. That's not training to be explosive. Jogging is not training to be a sprinter. So I was making a point to my young client that we are going to make sure in every one of these categories, we're doing very specific things to improve in all these categories. Okay, now here's a very important tip I want to say to you today. I firmly believe, and I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one, 100% believe that the kids I'm working with are going to be far ahead of the kids that are just going through the motions out there, playing travel ball, getting some lessons. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's a big difference between that model and what I'm talking about here tonight. When you're identifying the qualities, let's say, of athleticism, because we could do this, the qualities of a shortstop, the qualities of a left-handed pitcher, the qualities of a center fielder, and get more specific about the position itself. But tonight I'm only talking about athleticism, okay? But I am 100% sure that the kids I'm working with are going to be far ahead of the kids who aren't doing this. And here's why. Because when you train this way, you develop a lot faster and a lot more well-rounded than when you don't train for this stuff. And I said to my young client, and I said to his parents, I said, some of this may not seem like that important right now, but here's what's going to happen. He's 12. Let's give it 4 years. That's 16 years old. 4 years in a time of a kid's life where they can really make some big jumps. I mean, 12 to 16, when you're training the right way, you can make some massive jumps. I mean, my son took a full second off of his 60 time when he was 15 years old, once he learned how to train for speed. Okay, so here's what I said. By the time you're 16 years old, you are going to be superior to your peers in so many different categories. See, it's not just about going out and who swings the bat the most. You can go out and swing 1,000 times. If you're swinging the wrong way, you got worse, okay? So it's not about the activity. It's not about being active. It's not about the effort. Oh, he's a hard worker. That means nothing to anybody at the highest levels. It's, what are you doing with your time? How specific is your training? How focused are your goals? Another thing I said to my young client, I said, all of these categories we can measure. So I gave him 2 assignments. I said, next time we get together on camera, you're going to bang out 20 push-ups for me. Now, he said he could do 30 or 40 already, and his dad said they've been doing push-ups for quite a while, which is great, okay? But I said, I just want to see 20 really, really solid push-ups the next time we get together. And I gave him an assignment to learn to juggle. You've heard me talk about juggling, jump roping, things like that. And here's what I said. I'm giving you some of the secret sauce right now, but I want you to imagine how incredibly powerful this type of training is. I said to this young kid, I said, see, we're going to train your subconscious that every time you say you're going to do something, you do it. We're going to train your conscious to be confident. Why? because every time we say we're going to do something, we do it. It starts learning you mean what you say. Now, the flip side of this is telling yourself you're going to do something and then you don't do it, or you start to do it and then you quit doing it. So in the case of juggling, I said, we're going to train your subconscious right now that it's going to learn to do something that's not necessarily easy to do, but we're going to work through the adversity. We're going to work through the challenges. We're going to work through the frustrations, because those are the things that keep people from moving forward. They try something and then they get frustrated because they're not good at it. And what do? They quit. They stop. And what are they really doing? They're training their subconscious to say, yeah, when things get tough, I quit. I don't follow through. So as I'm working with my clients, we're the opposite. We're going to set a goal, hit a goal, set another goal, hit another goal, set another goal, hit another goal. It doesn't even matter what the goals are, but jump roping and juggling, those are good for balance and agility and athleticism. So, it kills two birds with one stone. We're training our subconscious and we're getting more athletic as a result of it. So today's video was really just to give you a little peek, insider info of what these Zoom meetings are like with my clients. I mean, I'm just giving you one tonight with a 12-year-old, but to repeat, number one, he understood already what athleticism means. Not all 12-year-olds do, but he did. Then we talked about what to do to improve in these areas, and we talked about being very specific on measuring the improvement. I said it's not going to be enough just to do it. We're going to measure the improvement so we have a trajectory. And I left him with this thought. I said, in a few years, I'm going to be promoting you to a college coach, and I'm going to be telling him this story of how we started working as a 12-year-old, and he did 20 push-ups, then he did 30, then he did 50, then he started learning to juggle, and now look at him juggling. Then he started learning to jump rope, and then he started learning this and learning this and learning this. And by the time he's 16, this kid is doing so many things that the quote-unquote average kid is not doing. In other words, I'm telling your story of development to the college coach. Well, here's what a college coach thinks. Well, if the kid's trajectory is going up, 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 he's had 4 straight years of just going up, 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 he's going to just keep going. Okay, you don't stop at 16 when you're on that kind of trajectory. You just keep getting better and better and better because you got the mindset. You got the growth mindset. You got the ability to overcome all the frustrations and the challenges and the sacrifices, and you just keep going. That's the story that I'm telling for a lot of my clients that I've already been doing this with. Well, if you're a college coach, that's a story you love to hear. So I hope you've enjoyed me peeling back the onion a little bit, but these are the things that I love because I'm convinced you can take the same kid, one with a plan, one without a plan. The one with the plan is going to blow away the kid that doesn't have a plan. I'll stand by that all day long. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, God bless. Moms, dads, Coach Mark here. Did you know that there was more help available to you? It's true. Now, we love doing our YouTube videos. We're going to continue to do them. And please, by the way, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit some comments, get engaged with us. That helps build our YouTube channel so we can continue providing this free content. But in addition to that, you may not know about the Ambassadors Group. That is the consulting company that I formed specifically to get intimately involved with certain families, players, to help them all the way through the journey of youth sports. We're starting with kids as early as 10 and 11 years old. Now, I know all the haters out there are going to say, what are you doing with 10-year-olds? You know what? We're preparing these kids for the journey ahead. There's a big journey coming, and those that are prepared for it are going to do fine. Those that are unaware of what it's all about are going to really struggle in today's uber competitive environment. And parents, there's no guidebook of how to do this. Youth sports is a phenomenon. When I was a kid, there was no parent involvement. But now, as you know, you're very involved. So we're helping guide parents through this journey. There's a lot of things coming your way. If you have help, they can go smoothly. But if you don't and you wing it on your own, it can be a disaster. Okay, I can't get into all the details now, but trust me, in 20 years, I've seen a lot of people blow it because they just didn't know what they were doing, okay? Not trying to fearmonger you, I'm trying to help you understand it's hard to get to the next level. 97% of high school players will never play Division I baseball. 93% will never play any college baseball. Those are the stats, okay? Pretty sobering. But here's another stat for you. Nearly 100% of our clients are moving on to the next level. And you might say, how is that possible? Here's how. We are very selective with who we choose to work with, okay? We're also very specific on what needs to happen. We have a game plan. We execute the plan. We make adjustments along the way because there are things that happen that we can't foresee. We're good at making adjustments. And then when the time comes, we have a database full of college coaches that are supporting us. Because think about it, if you're a college coach, wouldn't you love a program that is actually grooming kids with integrity, with commitment, with goal setting, with attitude, with respect, with community outreach, being a great teammate? I mean, I could go on and on of the things that we're doing with our clients to help prepare them for these guys at the next level. So, if that sounds interesting to you, here's what you need to do. Fill out the little form down below. Answer a couple simple questions, and if we think you qualify, we're going to get back in touch with you. We're going to set up a private consultation just for you, and we'll talk about your son. We'll talk about the plan that he could have, and we'll find out if this makes sense that we work together. That's the Ambassadors Group. So I hope to talk to you soon.